Exterior, food co-op, night. A humble food co-op that's been around some decades. A blustery winter night, some snow on the ground. The wind picks up some snow dust and sends it thither and yon. Interior, food co-op, night. A display of homemade cakes and cookies, yum. Apples arranged in terraced rows going up 6 levels. They are separated by Braeburn, Gala, Cortland, etc. No red delicious. Entrance. Jackson, 43, an overweight Latino man with dreamy eyes and an unsure heart, walks in with Wyoming, 43, a drop-dead gorgeous action movie star. His rugged exterior barely covers his deeper sensitivity. Both wear winter coats and jeans. Wyoming grabs a cart, gestures to Jackson. Does he want to steer? Jackson offers a momentary sneer and assumes the role of cart charioteer. Jackson pushes the cart in the produce aisle. Wyoming picks up a butternut squash.
This a favorite?
They're okay.
Do you prefer pumpkin?
Love pumpkin pie. Hey, what are you doing?
Just seeing how you work. A person can learn a lot by observing how someone shops for groceries.
Wyoming? I don't know if I'm ready for this level of intimacy.
Is that a joke? I think that's a joke.
Kinda. But no, I feel a little antsy showing you how I shop for food. Hey, is that why you suggested a grocery date?
Jackson scans the produce aisle, sees something off screen, and heads the cart toward the apple display.
Truthfully, I have a schedule, and you have a schedule. I was just getting creative. I want to get to know you.
Well, I do appreciate your working around a contractor's schedule. I still have doubts this is a worthy venue for romance.
Read into it what you want. But aren't you at least a little smitten with the bakery aisle?
Hey. Do you do the food shopping, or does Niobrara? Or does the fancy-ass celebrity couple have a personal shopper?
My wife would prefer to shop, but we leave it to our cook. Jean-Claude is rather fussy.
Jean-Claude, huh? Does he get good old General Foods International coffees, too?
That's Jean-Luc. That's Jean-Claude. Gosh, I feel old all of a sudden.
I still feel like we're outside John D. Junior High, reaching our hands out to each other before it all got ruined.
Wyoming winces, looks down. Jackson peels a plastic bag off a bag dispenser and opens it easily.
Wow, a plastic bag opening expert here.
My physics degree from Penn taught me a few things.
Had to go all the way to Pittsburgh to learn that, eh?
Philadelphia, Wyoming? It's in Philly.
That's an ivy, right?
Jackson nods. He studies the apples.
Weird.
What?
There are no red delicious apples here.
I don't care for them anyway. Try the Braeburn, no aftertaste.
Jackson takes 4 apples and puts them in a bag.
I would think, with Scorpio rising, that your way of love would be more about imagination and glamour.
Oh, because the romance house has Pisces on the cusp. Mm-hmm. Well, I might be able to come up with something magical for you, but me with Capricorn moon, I want to know the practicality of your life. What it is you do.
Think you can fall in love with somebody because of how they thump a cantaloupe, huh?
How do you thump a cantaloupe? How do you thump an ass?
Wyoming?
Jackson.
They look at each other, smiles on their faces.
I need to get some green beans and some broccoli.
Wyoming grins, strides over to a stand with green items.
Prepackaged or freestanding?
Frozen meats aisle. Wyoming turns up his nose as Jackson looks at cuts of beef.
You know, red meat is bad for you. It's hard on the environment.
I know. I sometimes feel guilty. But I'm an omnivore. I read a book.
Oh, good. You have background.
You're not an Adolf Hitler vegan, are you?
Jackson picks up a pork loin, puts it in his cart. Wyoming shudders.
One Adolf Hitler does not all vegans fascist make.
Wow, you are a poet, capable of unusual linguistic constructions.
Mocking me, eh? May I remind you that I have played in plays by both Shakespeare and Chekhov?
Name dropper.
Wyoming stifles a laugh, puts on a hurt expression. Jackson grabs a pound of ground beef and places it in the cart.
Oh, wow, such a lying liar's face you have there, Grandma.
Better to eat your pink parts with.
Wyoming paws at Jackson. He stops himself, looks around, blanches. POV, Wyoming. A 20-something mother shops with her 2 school-aged boys. She resolutely turns her head away from them. The boys cock their heads quizzically. Jackson sees Wyoming looking at them, sighs.
Alas, though this is a slow time, that doesn't mean people don't shop here when I come here.
I know. It can appear that I'm just a josher.
Sure. Yeah. Great.
Jackson pushes the cart away from Wyoming.
You know, I'm trying here.
Try harder.
Jackson looks over at the opposite set of freezers, his eyes alight on the ice cream frozen treats. He turns his head abruptly to look at the frozen breads.
You know, you're not the only one who's trying to see if we meet our standards.
Get burned by gold diggers a lot.
All it takes is one guy who wants to play on my name.
Jackson steps to the bread freezer, takes a loaf of Ezekiel.
Oh, you won't find that in me. There are other reasons to cut me off.
Stop it.
I'm not saying it to put myself down, but I've got baggage.
Who doesn't? So far, I think yours... Well, I can adjust to you. Maybe you can adjust to me too.
Jackson looks at Wyoming, gives a slight, affectionate smile. Dairy, non-dairy section. Jackson picks out some butter and studies the yogurts. Wyoming watches him.
I remember when you changed, when you got to high school, came into your own.
That was a benefit of being in a school district that actually valued college.
You honors students. I always wondered if you guys,
Jackson chooses some yogurts, puts them in the cart.
Played around. The more athletic you were, I suppose.
Have you ever had a relationship?
Jackson stops moving the cart.
You really want to have this conversation here?
I've wanted to know about you all my life. At least since we saw each other at the house.
None that lasted 6 months, okay?
Jackson resumes moving the cart. Wyoming trots alongside.
What were those guys like?
I've tried to like people who were in my lane, whatever that means. One was fat, another was thin, another had a nice body but a face only a mother could love. It was all mechanical. I did it just to do it. Really, I'm in a lane of 2 people, or maybe it's just me.
I'm the second. At least you hope.
You're so annoying.
Can I help it? I mean, I have a lot to atone for. The things I've repressed are all coming up in a torrent.
They reach the end of the aisle and turn into the next aisle. Sweets display. Jackson and Wyoming start to turn toward the display. Wyoming moves in some steps. Jackson backs out and continues past it. Soft drinks water aisle. Jackson scoots the cart down this aisle quickly. Wyoming saunters behind. He catches up with Jackson as he chooses some sugary soda 6-packs.
What was that?
What was what?
You don't have to feel shame, Jackson.
What are you talking about? Oh, wait, this is regular. I meant to get diet.
Jackson starts to put the regular sodas back, something mechanical about his movements. Wyoming puts his hand on Jackson's shoulder.
I'm serious. Just be you.
Jackson gives Wyoming a peremptory smile. He sets the diet drinks into his cart, continues on. Cleaning supply aisle. Jackson grabs Windex, furniture polish, detergent, etc. Wyoming stands by.
Do you shop at a regular grocery?
Oh, I'd have preferred to go there tonight, but I think I should reserve some things for after I've got the ring on my finger.
Aha. Awfully presumptuous, are we?
Aren't we supposed to act as if our wishes have been granted?
Well, let's say you're at the aisle with the books, magazines, and school supplies. Would you go down that aisle or skip it?
Depends on my mood, or if I'm in a rush, or if I need paper. But sometimes I'm curious to see if the authors in the mass market aisle change.
You don't seriously buy anything, though.
What is it about Danielle Steele you don't like? Really, though, Stephen King, Danielle Steele, Kai Kussler, nothing's changed since the 1980s, right? Though there's no Phyllis A. Whitney.
Who's that?
Oh, she wrote the book I was reading when you and your friends first attacked me that first time?
Wyoming stands stoic, offers up a curt nod, looks down, face red with shame.
I didn't know how to handle whatever this is.
I wonder what it would have been like if we embraced our connection rather than you run from it and then me run from you.
It was impossible for it to be any other way than what it was.
I know. But I often dream of the day where a 7th grade boy can tell another 7th grade boy he likes him.
Wyoming smiles at Jackson's wistful look.
Guess that's what we're supposed to do now? Pick up from where we left off?
Yeah? I hope so. I have reservations.
Lane before the checkout stands. Jackson pushes the cart toward an open checkout station. Wyoming frowns. He runs in front of the cart and grabs it. Jackson stares at him.
What the hell?
You're not done shopping.
Oh, yes, I am.
You're being dishonest. Look, I get it. You think I'll judge you.
Wyoming.
I want to see who you are. I want to show you I can accept it.
You don't know what you're asking.
I think I do.
They stare at each other. Soft drinks water aisle. Jackson puts the diet sodas back, looks at Wyoming, defiance, grabs the sugary regular versions. Frozen foods aisle. Jackson opens a glass door, pulls out a half-gallon of butter pecan ice cream. Wyoming observes. Homemade goods end cap. The display of cakes and cookies. Jackson stands next to it. Desire inflames his face. He shifts his gaze to Wyoming, standing nearby.
Go on, then.
Why do I feel this will be used against me?
Is that what your dad did?
I don't like to think about that. I can't even give a proper noun for it.
It. You mean it, not him.
You really want to see what I really do, huh?
Wyoming nods. Jackson sighs. He grabs one of each different offering. A selection of different kinds of cookies, a slice of coconut cake, another of chocolate cake. Jackson looks down at his cart. Cart. Roughly half of the stuff is healthy items and cleaning supplies. The other half is junk foods.
Don't you dare judge me.
Wyoming hugs Jackson from the side.
This is where you're at. I knew this was you. I'm not going away.
Wyoming's face, pain and fear in his eyes. Jackson stands there as Wyoming puts his head on Jackson's shoulder. Jackson's face shows tension. His eyes dart toward Wyoming, then dance away. He relaxes just a little into Wyoming's embrace, then just as quickly disengages. Wyoming presents a face of regard and loving concern. Exterior, food co-op, parking lot, night. By Jackson's red truck, Wyoming and Jackson load the groceries into the truck bed. Wyoming takes the cart to a cart collecting station and zooms it into the carts already there. He strides back to Jackson.
So, I had a nice time.
You're silly. But yeah, it was a fun date.
You're so weird. I can see where your son gets it.
Bridger is a combo of his mom and me for sure. They're rooting for you, by the way.
Your kids? What?
They know I've been seeking a husband too. It could be you.
How wonderfully progressive. I don't know if this was real. You're a really good actor.
I guess you'll have to trust me.
He asks for the hardest thing ever. No pressure.
Wyoming shrugs his shoulders. He holds out his arms, looks at Jackson, who thinks for a moment. He walks into the embrace.
I don't know, Jackson. Maybe this is right. That it was always right.
Yeah. Knowing us, it just takes 30 years to fall in love at first sight. I'm a handful.
Jackson breaks the embrace. Wyoming looks at Jackson with concern. On impulse, Wyoming grabs Jackson and pulls him in for a kiss. Jackson responds like a thirsty traveler, too long in a love desert. They pull apart. Jackson's face, a tear falls from his eyes. Fade out.